journalists, and then inevitably there are lots of comments from listeners, from viewers, from readers. So I see those, and then I see the sort of, as I say, the filtered threads of various things. So I see quite a lot, and I just want to spread myself around all over the place. And ultimately, it's my own attitudes that come through. Even if I sometimes pretend that it's the world. I mean, I may well be doing another one. I've just did one on the Trump, on the election, which when it came out in the last couple of days, where the world is watching, biting its nails, and hoping like hell for Kamala. Well, that may not be entirely true. I mean, a big proportion of the world, but there are many people in the world and in South Africa who are actually rooting for Trump, bizarrely. So, it's, in a sense, you impose your own values and your own kind of thoughts on even what you think your country or the world might want, because you're part of that kind of I hate to use that. I don't think I've ever called myself an influencer. I'm just trying to think. In a sense, there is something of that in what a cartoonist does and has always been doing.
Yes. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we continue this conversation with Zapiro, 011-883-0702, and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702.
702 afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota, Bongani Bingwa, 702 breakfast.
Weekday mornings 6 to 9.
Past 2 weeks have been difficult, with the individuals dying as a result of poisoned food allegedly purchased from spaza shops. Whose kid is going to die next? Does anyone have the answer? I think the president would love to call family gatherings a la COVID style. You know why they don't speak as often as you might expect them to? They don't know what to say. What are they going to say? I think they want to say something. They're desperate to find the words.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Organizations using Google Workspace report 30% improved employee efficiency and collaboration, 40% reduction in time spent searching for and finding information, 80% faster app development. Make the switch to Google Workspace and experience real-time collaboration, cloud-powered freedom, and smart AI features. Contact DigiCloud Africa at info@digicloud.africa to start your free 30-day trial. When thinking Google Cloud, think DigiCloud Africa.
Swipe and save extra at Checkers with deals like Nescafe Gold Instant Coffee, 200 grams for $139.99, and Omo Auto Detergent Capsules 22-pack, 2 for 199 Rand. Remember, you still have a chance to win a 7-night trip on the Icon of the Seas. Swipe your extra savings card and buy any participating product to enter. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060. T's and C's apply.
Are you living with diabetes? Tired of painful fingerstick tests? The Freestyle Libre 2 system by Abbott Laboratories sends glucose readings straight to your compatible smartphone. With minute-by-minute glucose readings, optional glucose alarms, and excellent accuracy, the Freestyle Libre system is here to support you in the management of your diabetes. For more information on where to buy Freestyle Libre 2, speak to your healthcare professional or visit www.freestylelibre.za.com. Now available at your local pharmacy.
When Coronation talks about how they've outperformed the market for over 30 years, they do it with an advert that outperforms itself. So instead of the usual library music, they've brought in a live orchestra. Coronation's benchmark-beating returns have proven to turn your hard-earned money into real long-term wealth. Returns that will bring tears of joy to your eyes, just like this violin concerto. Invest early, you'll be so happy you did. Coronation Trust is earned. Coronation is a registered FSB. Spend your afternoon
with Relebohile Mabota
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
21 minutes after 1 o'clock, we're having a conversation with Zapiro, as in Jonathan Shapiro, South African cartoonist. We take your calls with your questions and comments on 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Jonathan, when you look at how politics have evolved, how media has evolved over the past 3 decades, has it become easier or harder for you to do the work that you do while still remaining authentic to what your voice is?
I think a bit harder. Because, when I started out and I was working in a spread of newspapers, that's where, I started out, actually my first go was in the alternative press and in political organizations. So, oddly, even though it was very hard to get things published and some of my things were banned and the publications were banned, we all knew where we were going and we had a direction and I was part of that, and so I had that thing going. Then when I really started being an editorial cartoonist for a number of publications, and starting in 94, in the year that we became a democracy, I was in the Sowetan and the Mail and Guardian, which is a great spread, very different kinds of newspapers, even more different then. And then the Sunday Times. I was in these 3 major publications that were totally different from each other, and so I had a chance to use my own version of politics and the kinds of things I wanted to say in very different kinds of publications. I tried to keep my politics absolutely consistent. Never tried to speak as someone only from my position of privilege and all of that. I always wanted to be a South African who really wanted to see this country go forward and to see the values of the struggle and all of that. And I think that it was easier to do that. Then, with the advent of social media and the kind of compartmentalization that comes with the echo chambers and now gradually going to only an online platform. I do have the once a week cartoon in the Daily Mavericks newspaper 168. But it's a very different thing, and there isn't as much. I feel that it is harder to keep that sense of people knowing where you are, what you're doing, and get that sort of continuum, that thread that people will know. So sometimes a cartoon of mine gets taken out of context, and some people don't kind of know all the stuff I've been doing for the last 10 years or the last 30 years. And I think that makes it harder, the sort of decontextualization that happens.
I think I hear exactly what you're saying, and I'm wondering how is it that it's almost like you have the monopoly on the work that you do, and I admire it in the sense that you found a niche that you've occupied space in, and you've kind of owned it. I think there's quite a big lesson that can be learned from many people about not looking for who else is doing it or who got it right. How are you able to figure out for yourself this little space and be able to keep doing it for as long as you have been?
I've often said that my kind of lodestone, the thing that I look to, the time that shaped me, I think that I think it is a good thing for people to be able to do, to think of the kind of values and the kind of excitement of that time that you were shaped and where your kind of thinking and politics come from. Not that you should be immutable, but you should be able to change and shift and pivot and all of that. But I look back to the UDF days where it was really difficult, where I was meeting people from all sorts of backgrounds, where we were like trying to fight for the kind of democratic values that this country and its constitution eventually started moving towards. And now we've had some major setbacks. But I kind of look back to that period. I made incredible connections with different people. I can still draw on those connections. I can draw on the kind of thinking. That's my sort of yardstick, my lodestone, my reference, my frame of reference. But of course, you've got to be aware of how things shift and change. I'm a little worried that we may not, with all these wonderful in-depth questions that you're asking me, I know that I have like two teams of marketing people who are kind of wondering whether
We've got a whole other half hour. You've got ample
we
time.
do?
Yes, we've got a whole half hour together, and we're going to have ample time to talk about your upcoming conversation with Mandy, and also. So don't worry, we've got you. Because I think it's also.
They're going to kill me.
No, they won't. They won't kill you. I think it's also just. People who don't know the background, you spoke about context, right? And for those who maybe have caught on to your work, I wanted to spend a little bit of time also just trying to understand the activism part of the work that you do and how you've picked, in inverted commas, causes or sides that you want to be on over the past couple of decades that you've been doing what you do. And you can talk us through from, the era that we come from, pre-democracy, to where we are today. And we will go to news and also get an opportunity to talk about where you are today and all of those things.
Right. Okay.
So let's look back about the activism. How did you pick? What was a cause that was important to you to stand behind?
When I went to study in the United States in 1988, I got a scholarship. I came straight out of this period of 5 or 6 years of UDF activism from 1983 onwards, and I was struck by the diversity of the activists and the causes that people were involved in. When I was here, the idea of national liberation was so overpowering that even though there were I knew some people in Coburg Alert who were worried about nuclear power and what it could, issues about that. I knew some environmentalists. I knew there were certainly people who were gender activists and who were activists for sexual preference, sexual preferences, all that sort of thing. There were many people who were doing different things, but many of us had to kind of stay within this umbrella of national liberation because that's absolutely crucial. And then there were I found when I went to suddenly we did find that we had that diversity, but in a sense I think that's where we did lose some direction because there were also people who became diverse, kind of very comfortable. I became corrupt, and there were people who sort of forgot some of the things they were fighting for. So I picked that idea of national liberation, but as my main thought, aspiration, whatever. But then along the way, all these other things that I've mentioned are things I was able to look at as well. So whatever it is, it's an attempt to have a progressive agenda where you find that, like, as a cartoonist, I'm going to be criticizing and pillorying and knocking off pedestals politicians, corporations, corporate figures, religious demagogues, anyone, because religion, as I always say, religion is just a way of thought. Religion is politics. There's nothing more or less. I mean, I don't believe in any kind of fairy tales that come from anything. Everything is human, created by human, trying to.
So what I want to do then, I want to pick up exactly off of where we are. We need to go to the news, and when we come back, I'll pick your brain about that. There are already some comments and questions coming in on 072 702 and 702. It's just after 1:30, time for your latest in Eyewitness News headlines. So Donald Trump is back in the White House. That's correct. Very good afternoon. Donald Trump has been elected the 47th President of the United States. Trump received 276 of the Electoral College vote, while his opponent, the Democratic Party's Kamala Harris, received 223 votes. The twice impeached former president is also said to secure the popular vote, which was last won by a Republican candidate in 2004. Back here at home, 9 police officers, including the former head of the Western Cape anti-gang unit, have been implicated in the murder of top cop Charles Kinnear. Kinnear, who was head of detectives in the province at the time, was shot dead outside his Bishop Lavis home in September of 2020. And 10 former Umkhonto weSizwe Party parliamentarians are headed back to court in an attempt to freeze the party's bank accounts to sue for lost earnings. They also want a personal bank account of party president Jacob Zuma to be blocked, claiming they paid a portion of their earnings into it. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
City of Tshwane, there's an accident scene heading towards Social River. This is in Acacia. This is on the R80 northbound. That's the Mahogany Highway between the N4 and Roslyn Road. This is causing about a 30-minute delay, so avoid that route at all costs. Also, leaving the Pretoria CBD, moving traffic. Between Van der Hof and the R80 Midrand, there's still slow-moving traffic on the N1 northbound between New Road and Olifantsfontein Road. If you're heading towards Alex, that's coming from the Bedford View area, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic N3 northbound between Van Buren and the Girulis interchange, and also leaving the Joburg CBD. Traffic is a bit sluggish on Main Reef Road between the M2 and Church Street. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 2.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clement Maniatela,
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Is there still a possibility here, David, that things could turn around? I mean, North Carolina is gone, Georgia is gone, Pennsylvania is gone to Trump. We've been watching Michigan and Wisconsin. Could those things flip things around?
It seems very unlikely now. At least one of the networks, Fox News, has called this election for Trump, and everybody else seems to be leaning in the same direction.
David Smith, the Guardian's Washington, D.C. bureau chief.
Clemens Maniatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
Imagine a holiday where your only worry is choosing between the pool or the beach. A getaway without the stress of extra holiday costs. Welcome to the newly refurbished Blue Marlin all-inclusive seascape, where everything is included. Accommodation, meals, drinks and entertainment, all from just 1,605 Rand per person, sharing per night, for a limited time only. Book now at dreamresorts.co.za. That's dreamresorts.co.za.
Josie, let's run! The first ever Hollywood Bets Joburg 10-kilometer and 5-kilometer race hits your streets on November 16. Lace up those running shoes with friends and family as we bring the city together for this epic event. Entries at web tickets or pick and pay. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. Sign up for responsible gambling conditions off the counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
So we did a thing. A full commitment kind of thing. We've partnered with Sixt to bring worldwide to your doorstep. So, that's a serious thing. Because that's what you deserve. We know you're the GOAT. So, premium it is. Premium service, premium products, premium you, premium us. Sony Sixt is all about adding extra to all three. Extra reach, extra countries, so you can be extra premium worldwide. Be the greatest of all time and rent Sony Sixt. To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment at 702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@napsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
What's happening around your country now that voting day is actually started?
I would say that weather might impact in-person voter turnout. A lot of votes have already been cast by early balloting, and that includes here in the state of Wisconsin.
Could that have an impact on how long it takes before we know who will actually be your next president?
We're not going to know probably for weeks after this election is done.
Kane Farabo, a multimedia journalist at Voice of America.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, proud host of the ABSA Champagne and Africa Festival 2024. Your story matters. ABSA is a registered FSP.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabuja.
23 minutes to 2 o'clock. We are having a conversation with South African cartoonist Zapiro, Jonathan Shapiro, who's celebrating a couple of things that are coming up in his life and career. Give us a call with your questions, 011-883-0702, and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. Jonathan, before I go to the lines, you were just wrapping up your thoughts around your feelings around religion, which, if we're going to make parallels to political parties, that for you, you're saying you don't believe in those kinds of things. Is it because it's being run by human beings that make up the rules?
Well, of course. I mean, humans made up. I remember a little rhyme that I had, that as a Jewish person growing up, the idea of the chosen people. People always believe they're the chosen people, whether it's Jewish people or Afrikaners in the old National Party or this one or that one. Everyone believes they're special because somewhere along the line there was some people walking around in a desert or somewhere else and came up with the rules and thoughts that would somehow make them special if people kind of listened to the supposed God, which was, of course, just the thoughts of whoever was controlling everything. So there was this little rhyme that said, how odd of God to choose the Jews. It's not that odd. Jews chose God. It's essentially that's the same as every religion. I remember another thing that religion is going to war to decide who has the best imaginary friend. I mean, these are things that
I never heard that one.
Yeah, and the point is that religion is just a form of politics. I mean, it's all human thought corralling people into a herd mentality to do the bidding of usually a patriarchal, demagogic bunch of males, and then to suppress reproductive rights, to suppress sexual preference, to suppress free thought, to suppress condoms or whatever, all sorts of, and to antagonize and marginalize and belittle people who don't believe the same things that they believe. And all religions are like that to a greater or lesser extent, and all cults. It's all a matter of degree. And so the point is that what I don't want to do is to sort of attack every religious believer. In the same way as I attack politicians who say things like that. I will attack religious leaders who support wars on other people, who support the marginalization and racial oppression of other people, etc. That's my sort of take on things.
Do you think South Africans understand satire? Or do you find that many people get offended? I know you've been accused of being many things that end with the word ist.
I think in general terms, South Africans have a hell of a sense of humor, and because jokes about, particularly about powerful people, jokes that punch up, as opposed to jokes that punch down and marginalize and stereotype ordinary people or people who might be feeling threatened. I don't indulge in that, or I try not to. But jokes that punch up, the South Africans are really good at that, and really sort of take the piss out of politicians or corporations who release a big kind of thing and people kind of see through it, and whether it's Eskom or whatever it is. I think South Africans are really good. So in that sense, South Africans are right up there. And I mean, look at the Nando's adverts and things, which people most of the time have really enjoyed, and I think it's a great team that has produced that. I think we've had some fantastically funny adverts. We've got some really good stand-up comedians. We've got good cartoonists around. We've got people making memes. So yes, I'd say that South Africans do understand satire, but every now and then you find that something, people get touched on their studio to such a great extent that they can't see the satire in something.
All right, we've got some voice notes that have been coming through on 0727021702.
Hi, Lady Bohile, Johannes, George, in Captain Park. Yeah, reading of Donald Trump, things will change in the world. Ukraine, Gaza, Iran, and Israel. Yeah, I think things will not come right. Somewhere, things will not come right. Sure.
Good afternoon, really. I'm Stephen. Whatever. The news about Donald Trump's victory to the White House has been welcomed very well by the cryptocurrency markets, as he is the favorite in that space. Us who have invested in it, we hope to benefit a lot from his victory. I don't care about the politics surrounding his presidency as to how it is going to impact the world, SA, Africa, as well as South Africa. I care less about that. All I care about is that I'm going to personally and directly benefit from his presidency as I have invested in cryptocurrency. Thank you. On the US, first, I had wanted to, but I expected Trump to win, and this is what has happened. Second, because Trump has won, I expect that the US's dominance over the global order is going to decline even more rapidly, which is good for all of us. Third, I believe that we have to have a look at the Americanization of our own politics, because we are seeing demagogues who are trying to emulate Trump. But should we say? I don't think so.
Hi, Mr. Zapiro. I'm a huge fan. Mohau from Jamestown here. I even have one of your books with all your caricatures or drawings that you have. I have a book of it that I'm actually showing to my kids that this is what you can make a living out of this. So thank you so much for your commentary over the years. My favorite, which I want to ask you about, is what do you think of the return of Jacob Zuma?
And then you realize that
in referral to the spear. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So many comments around the US elections, as expected. I'm sure they'll continue on all the shows for the day. The question around Jacob Zuma cartoons.
Okay. Thank you for very, very interesting comments from your listeners.
Yes.
And from Mahal in particular, in terms of Jacob Zuma. Well, apparently, if you have one of my annuals, the latest one, which is one of the things that is happening big time for me now, is I've called this latest annual "Have I Got News for You?" And of course, the new is the GNU.
Yes.
So it's the wildebeest that I used to already use in '94 when there was the original new under Madiba, and this one isn't as much of a real new. It is really a coalition. It's a glorified coalition. But of course the EFF, which is dwindling, and MK, which is increasing, have stayed out of the new. And I've got plenty of cartoons that really talk about the kind of danger to our politics that is Jacob Zuma. And one of the things that I think people are I don't know how many people have focused on it. I've got a couple of cartoons that do focus on it, is I mean, thank you very much, CR. Cyril gave Jacob Zuma a ridiculous remission that was, doctored to look like it was part of a general kind of remission for 9,500 prisoners. We were all of a sudden released, able to kind of have shortened sentences or be released or whatever. Jacob Zuma did his kind of drive-through because of Cyril, and now that allowed Zuma to come back into our politics and to get this quite enormous proportion of votes in KZN, also in Mpumalanga, some in Gauteng, some in other places. That so essentially, thank you very much, Cyril. And Jacob Zuma is a massive danger to our constitutionality, to our constitution itself. I mean, he's a crook who became president and is now, trying to muster up some of the old forces of state capture. And that's what I think of Zuma. And there are a number of cartoons in the new annual that talk about that. Yeah.
Another message from Tusi Muto bin Fosler says, say hi to my favorite cartoonist, Zapiro. I find him to be the most interesting and funniest cartoonist. I would like to meet him for coffee or mkomboti at some stage, please. I feel like you're choosing the mkomboti here.
Well, thanks so much. You know that I will be, now that I live in Cape Town, but I will be, as of tomorrow, in Joburg, specifically to meet people and do some events, and I will be at shopping centres on Saturday and on Sunday, and probably look at my Instagram and Facebook. I'm not very good at that stuff, but it'll be there, and also Jacana, my publishers, so you'll be able to see where I might be, and then we can certainly meet and chat and have photos and whatever else people like to do. And I love doing it. I love meeting people and hearing what people think and all of that. So I'll certainly be doing that. Yeah.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we chat about where you can actually get access to Zapiro's teas and what are the selections that went into this, and then of course these meets and greets. We talk about that conversation coming up with Mandy Wiener.
World Sports Betting puts the excitement of Vegas in the palm of your hands. Bet on thousands of markets daily or try your luck on hundreds of games and you can become an instant millionaire. Register today at wsb.co.za and get your first deposit matched up to a massive 20,000 Rand. World Sports Betting. Bet with the best. Licensed by Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No person under the age of 18 permitted to gamble. NRGP toll-free counseling line 0800-006-008. Winners know when to stop.
If you want to start doing something about gender-based violence instead of just talking about it, then join 702 at Sunbet Arena on the 21st of November for the Big Break. You'll get to learn invaluable self-defense techniques and help other women access a unique approach to personal protection. We aim to break a world record for the most wooden boards broken simultaneously by women. Book your spot today on ticketpro.com and get 2 tickets for only 900 Rand. All proceeds will be donated to help women at risk access the Empower course. Are you looking for the best spectacle and photograph deal? Specsavers buy one, get one offer. You get great value for money. You can trust us with over 350 stores nationwide. Of eye test and spectacle frame with lenses on your first pair. Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Tommy Hilfiger, Carolina Herrera, and more. There really is no reason to go anywhere else. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
It's Marcy from Momentum Alone.
Hi, it's Maggie. I have car and home insurance with Momentum Insure. We were to use my husband's bakkie to go from Krugersdorp to London.
Well, if it's not London, Maggie, but East London, just activate the accident alert feature on the app, which automatically sends help in case of an accident.
Even if it's not my car?
Yes, safety for sure.
Oh, thanks, Steve. East or West, London.
SMS code to 42024 to join now. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer and FSP. Standard SMS rates and T's and C's apply. FSP 22789.
Your voice. Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Mabuja.
9 minutes to 2 o'clock. We're with Jonathan Shapiro, who is known to all of us as Zapiro, who's been having his interesting cartoons being published for over 3 decades. And now you can see some of
Please
them.
do share with us,
Jonathan, how this all
Take your
came
post out of
about,
the
that you ended up partnering with Pick and Pay.
Well, you already heard from me today that cartoonists are most of the time in attack mode. So, and I'm tearing things down in order to kind of build something else. But along the way, I do those kind of inspirational cartoons every now and then. I think Pick and Pay approached me and asked whether I would like to do something which is more kind of feel good and fun and all of that, inspirational. And among the cartoons that they'd already identified was one rugby one from a long time ago, and I thought that's actually a good direction, because what is really actually unifying people in the last few years, more than anything else, I think, is rugby. It is so strange to say that, because the original version of sort of rugby unification was quite illusory, quite sort of paper thin in a way. I mean, Madiba and what they did in 1995, what he did, was in a way averting disaster by sort of uniting behind the team, and then we won that World Cup with this white team. Even Chester Williams wasn't available for the final. But what has happened in the last few years under Rassie Erasmus and Siyakolisi has been an entirely different beast. It is a fantastic, unified, diverse, inspirational team, and the fans are of all ages and all backgrounds, and people absolutely loved what has happened, and there's a real sense of pride. So I then looked for the best of my sort of unifying and feel-good rugby cartoons, and one Madiba one out. There's one that's Madiba. It's the various stages of his jive. So you see that kind of series. The others, the match 23 that won, the plonk is a real word in Afrikaans and in English for what Springboks do when they jump for joy. So I had the whole match 23. That's one of them. Then the recent one, green is the new black, which I heard. I don't know who said it first. I really looked to try and find out who, so I could acknowledge. But that phrase I built into this cartoon. And then another Madiba one from 96, Nation Building is a whole new ball game. And then there's also one from 99 where all these other rugby animals are chasing the Springbok, leaping through the air to try and wrest the World Cup from the Springbok. Of course, at that time they did. But they've done them on beautiful color shirts. Some of them are iron-ons, some of them are actually on the shirt. And I've had a couple of really nice events signing these for people in the same way as I do the annuals. Sign with fabric, sign material, fabric, sign pens, and it's actually just been a really nice project to be part of.
Please, so all of them are available. Thank you so much. The team and I got our package. We're very excited to have the options of teas that came through from your team and Pick and Pay. I want to chat quickly about your conversation with Mandy that's coming up.
And but can I just say that they're available at Pick and Pay clothing stores around the country?
Yes,
okay,
Pick and Pay clothing stores. Yes, thank you. So your conversation with Mandy Wiener that's coming up?
Yes, so that is tomorrow when I arrive in Joburg. Shortly after I arrive, it's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Well, it says 6 or 6:30, but it's where you are, and it's Prime Media, and it's going to be the wrap of the year's news. And it's great to be with Mandy, but she's also someone who's got finger on the pulse, and I actually love doing that kind of thing with a sort of fellow presenter of a different kind. We run through a small number of my cartoons and talk about them and take questions, and it's always a nice vibey listeners, maybe people who phoned in and others if people are interested in coming.
For those of you that may have missed the RSVP, it did close yesterday for this event that's taking place. But I'm sure people will be able to tune in. Follow Zapiro on the socials with over 500,000 followers on X. You can find him there, Zapiro. Head over to Zapiro.com. Jonathan, thank you so much.